Welcome to CCP's CEO Investor Forum. I know we have the crowd kind of winding in today. Probably some coffee was spilled upstairs, so if people need it, you can go to the staff room to grab some coffee. And also for our online audience, welcome as well. It's good to have everybody here, and really an opportunity for CEOs to share their sustainable business plans with investors and other key stakeholders. Great chance for us also to learn about those plans and also from experts in the field. We got started yesterday, continued today. It's our 10th CCP CEO Investor Forum. And it's a great opportunity to talk about how business can truly be a positive force in the world. And there's few industries that we work with at CCP that does a better job of that in terms of results, potential, and I think we'll hear the plans than the medical technology world. Wanted to thank our partners here at AdvaMed who put together this terrific event, this conference, first time in a couple of years to get everybody together. Thousands of employees, 75 different events, and also our sponsor at EY. And EY not only adding thought leadership to this, but also making this event possible for us as well. Yesterday, we had a terrific panel with George Serafin from Harvard Business School, Lucy out of EY, and Eric from Integra, their general counsel, talking about ESG, sustainable business, what that means from an academic perspective in terms of George Serafin, as well as what it means on the ground with Integra, about a $3 billion market cap company, what those impacts have been and how that can create business opportunity, also risks to be managed. And also heard from Jeff Martha at Medtronic, CEO who shared Medtronic's long-term sustainable plans, connected their mission to their current strategies, talked about the innovation that they really have as a group, and laid out a plan there for perpetual value creation as part of the Medtronic plan. For those who don't know, we're CECP. I'm Daryl Brewster. I'm the CEO, a former public company CEO, and we work with more than 200 of the world's leading companies to really help advance them on the purpose journeys. The things that companies are dealing with today, but are not necessarily things they learned about in business school or often on the way to the top, but are increasingly important parts of what we do in businesses on a daily basis. Our role is to really help companies drive sustainable success through positive impact in the world. We help companies specifically in 5 areas that we talk about, things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, community engagement, which CCP has long been involved and engaged with. How do you tell your story in today's 24/7 news cycle, insights on employee engagement, as well as, very important, sustainable business and ESG. This is an area that we've been involved with for the last several years to how to take the complexity of this world and help really create forums and events like this to help people on those journeys. For those who track trust, and Richard Edelman on our board has the Edelman Trust Barometer, comes out every year, realize that business is the most trusted institution these days. It's trusted more than the government and media. Some would say that's not a fair comparison. I mean, of course, it's trusted more than that. But business is trusted. It's trusted by employees. It's trusted by stakeholders, especially my own company. Really trust there. It's trusted. Business is trusted because it's seen as competent, adaptable, changing with the times, and viewed as, quote, increasingly ethical. So business has that kind of a role. And with that trust, of course, comes the responsibility, accountability of delivering on it. Once you have trust, you got to kind of continue to deliver. And few industries, I think, do a better job of that as a whole than medical technology. Now, there aren't issues from time to time, then how do you address those here as you go forward? One of the things, of course, that sparked over the last few years has been the whole movement toward ESG, environmental, social, I like to call it stakeholder and governance factors that drive a business. These are risks that are out there. Some are societal risks, some are for business risks. But how do you kind of assess those risks, those opportunities? That's what we heard a lot from. But there's a lot of complexity. It's come around over the last few years, but you can just look at all those initials and letters, the alphabet soup of this whole movement, and that has created some challenges and some pushback in recent years, both from those who think companies should be doing more and those who think companies should be doing less. But these are really risk factors that weren't traditionally captured in the short-term look-back financials that companies report on. The other area that we're really intrigued by is that the vast majority of publicly traded companies, particularly those in med tech, are their discounted, risk-adjusted future cash flows. And yet, as we talk with CEOs and companies, and we've surveyed our CEOs, they spend very little time on the long term and much more about the short term. That's kind of natural in the world in terms of that, but we try to think there may be an opportunity for a better balance. I talked to a CEO the other day and was bouncing this off. We're hearing about 10 to 20% of your time is on long-term, 80% short-term, and they're saying, no, that's wrong. So, well, how much? It's like 120% in the short term. So a lot of those factors are really just driving on how'd you do last quarter, what happened, give me your forecast for the next quarter or two. It's important. The short term is important. It's critical. It provides, if we're looking back, it provides real numbers. Obviously, the short term provides liquidity. It also provides credibility because you need to deliver on that to believe the long-term plan. So it's an important factor, but we think the balance could be enhanced and improved. And that's why a few years ago, thanks to Alex Gorski and Bill McNabb, Vanguard Chairman and CEO, Alex, Executive Chair now at J&J, was CEO of J&J at the time, also on our board, both on our board, we launched the CEO Investor Forum, which is this opportunity in a forum to really have companies share their sustainable long-term plans with investors and other key stakeholders. An advisory board of issuers, companies, of investors, as well as intermediaries like EY and others, to really kind of help us build that dialogue and the improvement so that we can have a little better balance on that. Short term doesn't go away. This is not an or, this is an and. Short term matters, but also how can we get more sense on the long term, since that's where the value of the enterprise is. And I think we'll hear about that as we hear from Abbott and today as well as Intuitive. Since that launch, we have had, this is our 10th or 11th CEO Investor Forum. We've had some 60 CEOs, close to that, share their sustainable long-term plans, representing nearly $4 trillion in market cap. Close to $30 trillion of assets under management have attended these events. Plus, we do have a live audience here to view this really around the globe and around the world. It also will be available at cecp.co or on companies' websites as they deem appropriate. And it's really given us kind of a sense. It is our belief, and as we talk with Bill and Alex and others, that at some point every listed company ought to share their sustainable long-term plan. And ought to have that updated on a regular basis, set the context, build the narrative around where we're headed as an enterprise, and then deliver on it the milestones as you go on the way. It's also contributed a treasure trove of executive-ready research for us, for companies, and for investors about why, what, how, and the value of sustainable long-term plans. The why, we've heard both the importance of that from an investor perspective. The templates that we develop really come from investors, but also really helpful from the company standpoint, to get everybody on the same page in terms of having an integrated sustainable plan, not ESG in one quarter, business units in another. The what, we have 9 key themes, 23 questions that we have as part of our template that have been asked, and companies cover those to differing degrees, but it gives us at least a framework where you can begin to look at companies and how they're talking about these key issues, and helps to advance the conversations. The how is a key piece. How do you get a company together to make this all happen? And some companies, we realize we've had dozens of meetings to help them get along. Others are more ready to kind of do that right out of the gate. But how do we really align an organization to have them there? And then the value. We've certainly heard good value from our investors on this, but also from many of our companies who found this to be a force functioning opportunity to really bring things together and to communicate those efforts and plans. And we look forward to, again, more of these. We'll actually be announcing shortly our climate leaders event coming up in June. We'll bring CEOs together to really share, the leaders in that space to share their sustainable plans on climate areas also.